my companion and I were being chased by this guy with a knife, and as we went over a bridge, I turned over and I saw it was a knife. I didn't see it was a knife before because he just reached behind his shirt and says, I'm going to kill you. And so I took off running and went over a bridge, and when I looked over my shoulder and I see it was a knife, and I grabbed my backpack and swung it around to hit him, and that's when he sliced my hand. I tripped over a rock and sliced the back of my head open and blacked out. And the 2 or 3 seconds following, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I was up. And even that day, later that day when I went back and thought about it, I didn't know how I got up as fast as I did, but I do remember tripping backwards, smacking my head on a rock, but then I was back up, and I was like in I'm going to get you mode. And then behind us, there was about 5 or 6 people from the town chasing toward us, and we thought, oh great, they're gonna attack us also. So me and my companion ran into this fence area and shut the fence, but these guys were actually chasing him because he was the one causing problems, and chasing him out of town as vigilantes. There's not a lot of policemen in the mission. You don't see cars patrolling. I remember my mission was over and going into the airport, and I remember just thinking, man, there are a ton of police. There must be something going on in the airport. There's police everywhere, but that's just normal USA. But down there, yeah, you don't have as many police as we do here. There was one time where we were in our apartment, and it was about 5:30 in the morning. We hear these screams, blood-curdling screams, and that just woke us up, and we're like, whoa, what is that? What is that noise? And we're like, sounds like a cat that's being like murdered or something. We didn't know what it was, and we ran out to the door, and we have this little carport. We didn't have a car, but we had a carport, and there was a gate that was like this, and what had happened before the screaming was a guy was going in there. We had a little 5-gallon propane tank that we use for our stove, and he had pried the door, or he'd pried our gate open, and he went inside and grabbed the tank because he was just going to sell it for food or whatever, and then he pried the gate back open, and as he's getting his body out, our neighbor had hopped over the fence, grabbed the fence, and put it back into the position and kind of sandwiched our guy in the fence, and was beating on him with a stick. So we have a little alarm system to our apartment, so we hit the police button, and police showed up. And this wasn't like a police car. This was a little truck with like benches in the back that had 4 or 5 guys in cargo pants and little berets and rifles, and one guy had it was a whip, and they had this whip, and they walked up, and the policeman says, all right, let him loose. Pulled up the gate, and this guy who's just been beaten on by the neighbor and smashed into this gate, and kind of crawled, just done. He was done, committing the crime and didn't want to do anything more, but was beaten over and over again with this bull pistol, with this whip, and they call it a bull pistol. You can look it up, and you'll know why. So they're whipping this guy, and all the missionaries were in our pajamas, and we're just watching this, and we're just sick to our stomachs. And then after they're done beating them and kicking them and saying, you like to steal, and don't be stealing here, and then as they're about to take him away, the neighbor says, hey, can I have another couple hits? And they say, oh yeah, absolutely. And then the neighbor says, don't you ever come to my neighborhood again and steal from my neighbors, and just wailing on the guy. And we're like, oh, no, let him go. And so they pick him up and they throw him in the paddy wagon, and then they get the 5-gallon tank and they throw that at him, and then they all get in there and haul him away. And that's just, that's how it's done down there. And I don't know if they have less crime than us. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but either way, that's how they did things down there, which works for them, I guess. But yeah.